Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Gita Quest e-Gurukul. Can we all turn on our cameras? Shruti ma'am, am I audible to everyone? Is my
Yes,
voice clear?
yes, you are clearly audible.
Everybody else can also turn on your cameras. So I think by the time we have a small orientation so that we know what we are getting. Everybody else can also turn on their cameras. I'd like to request you, if you have your parents beside you, if you can call your mom or dad very quick, just for 15 minutes, so that they can also guide you through this process. Just ask them to sit with you for only 15 minutes. Either one of your parents or your guardian is fine. Just for 15 minutes so that they also know how the sessions are going to be. Tejashree, you can also turn on the cameras. Am I clearly audible, everyone? Is my voice breaking? Is it fine now? Shruti, is my voice okay? My voice ever breaks in one. If you just unmute, I think that you're not. So welcome everyone. First session. Wants to say something. Still hand. So welcome to the first session of e-curriculum. Parents are also sitting. I'm Harini and I'll be the teacher this 2.5 months. Is my voice not clear again? Should I make my voice break? I'm
Harini ma'am, your voice is breaking beachness.
just a second. Join back. Course. So we'll just have a small 5 minutes orientation so that you all know what is the course about, what is Gita Quest about. Okay. I'll just quickly share my screen. Is my screen visible to everyone? So welcome to your, thank you so much. So welcome to this journey of Gita Quest. Just a second, I think my laptop is showing some problem today. Yeah, Shruti ma'am, can you share the picture? Because it's not loading. Oh, okay. So we want to give you a small history of how eGurukul started, of how Gita Quest started. So basically we started this during the lockdown. You remember in 2020 how there was a global lockdown? So we started this then. And last year we started our overseas batch for USA and Canada. So this is the first year that we've started even in the UK. And we really appreciate all your support and your participation so that we are being able to serve all over the world and now in UK as well. So you can spread this word to your friends, family, known people who also are interested in joining Gita Quest and eGurukul. Okay, we have small picture. Okay, it's me. So we are showing you a few pictures of our little journey. So these are a few flashback pictures when the world was anxious, uncertain, but there were a few group of IITians, right, who decided they're not going to sit in fear and they're going to serve. So the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, they began spreading it all over the world, and that's how Gita Quest was born. So later on, we started to expand our journey, and that's how eGurukul started, right? Where it is specifically for kids, for children of you. You can see everyone is almost the same age of you, right? So this is a special batch just for kids. So on 21st November 2021 was our first class or first session when eGurukul started. We had almost 10 to 15 batches. We had total 10,000 plus registrations. We have distributed 200 plus certificates, 190 plus certificates. You can see the details on the screen. Yeah, ma'am, next slide. Yeah. So now Gita Quest is not just limited to India. We have people joining from all over the world and now from UK also. First we started it in US, in Canada. Then now we are here in UK. So this is how we are trying to bring Krishna consciousness in young minds as well. So how? Yes. Ridhanya saying something?
I was telling something to my mom.
Okay, no problem. But Ridhan, I want to see you. Can you switch on your camera? Everybody else also. This is the first session. So we all want to talk to each other, right? Yes. Thank you. Good to see all of you. Okay. So how these sessions are going to be conducted is there are going to be two classes on Saturday and Sunday. Every Saturday and Sunday, 1 p.m. for you guys, right? Every Saturday, Sunday, same timing. Okay? And every Saturday, we are going to have a small test or a quiz. Now, nothing to be scared, no test, nothing scary. It is just a small revision of what we learned in the previous classes. Because today we are learning something, right? We have a week gap. So by next class, what if you forget? Right? So just to have a small revision, every Saturday we will have a test. What are the timings? What will be asked? That all we will let you know later. Okay? Now, if at all you miss any class, right? Someday you're not being able to attend, that time you can message your facilitator. Now, who is the facilitator? You can see Shruti ma'am has joined here, right? You can see Shruti ma'am. Can you raise your hand? Shruti Mataji, can you raise your hand? And you'll see a number through which you're getting messages on the WhatsApp group, right? There's somebody, Shruti ma'am, who's sending messages, sending the Zoom link, sending messages. So you can message on that number. She's Shruti ma'am. You can message her if you have any questions or if you're not being able to attend, if you need any kind of support throughout this whole journey, you can message her without any hesitation. Okay? Recordings and notes will be provided to you. Okay? But just in case you want to make any notes, you can do that as well. But we are here, we will provide you recordings and notes just in case you've missed any class, so that by the next class, you can watch it and come back. Okay? Now there is a minimum attendance of 75%. If you want the certificate that you've completed this course, you need to, the minimum attendance is 75%. Although I want all of you to attend all the classes as much as you can. Okay? Because this is a 2.5 months course only. So we want to see all of you, right? So try to attend as many possible classes. Okay? Till now, did all of you understand? Am I going too fast? Okay. I hope I'm not going too fast. If I'm going fast, you can tell me. Okay? Now certificates, now I've told you that the criteria for certificates. Now after you finish the course, certificates will be given to you. Okay? Now for the parents batch. Now that you have your parents or your guardians sitting next to you, parents batch details, we will let you know shortly on the WhatsApp. Okay? Does anyone have any questions regarding how the batch is going to work? Okay. Everyone is clear. No questions. So this is a thematic study of Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So more details and more exact learnings and all you will get in the advanced class. In the advanced class, we will let you know after your basic batch finishes. This is your basic batch. After you finish this, we'll have advanced classes where more detailed things will be taught to you, right? But in this, also you think every day 1 hour, every Saturday 1 hour only I'll be talking, you will just be listening like this. That is not going to happen because we're going to ask you questions. You will tell me what you know. We will try to teach you what we know. You can ask each other questions. If you feel you disagree with somebody on something, you can say that as well. We'll try to keep it as interactive as possible. Are you with me? Oh, that is great. Any questions? Till whatever was I told you till now? Yes, Tanvi.
Like, do we have to take classes both on Saturday and Sunday? Or is it just like, do we only take one class? Because I'm not sure if I'm taking both classes or one.
Okay, you have to attend both Saturday and Sunday. So today you joined in at 1 p.m. Tomorrow again you have to join in at 1 p.m. Then again next Saturday
Okay.
1 p.m.
Okay.
Anything else? Anyone else have a question? Am I going too fast? Okay, I'm assuming there are no questions. All of you are clear. Okay, so today's session we might extend just 15 minutes more. I'll try to wrap it up as soon as we can because since today is the first session and I had to give you a brief introduction of how the course is going to work. We're already 15 minutes up, so I'll try to finish it up as soon as possible. But since today is first session, just give me 15 minutes more time than normal. I hope that's okay. I'll try to keep it as interesting. You'll not even get to know when this time got over. Okay? Now, I forgot to do one thing. I didn't tell you who I am. You're going to be with me for 2.5 months. I didn't introduce myself to you. So, my name is Harini. I've been part of Gita Quest for more than a year. I've been teaching for a while now. And I'm so excited to teach you guys now also. I'm so excited to see all of you. Can we all have a smile? Are you all happy to see me? Okay. Now we'll start with the class. Let me quickly share my screen. Till then, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Yeah, everyone's cleared. No doubts, nothing. Why is everyone so quiet? Why are you also quiet?
No.
Everyone's focused. Okay, great. It's good to see you also focused. No, I'm sharing Shruti ma'am. Okay. Is my screen visible to everyone? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay. So what is our first session going to be about? Our first session is Gurukul and Vedic scriptures. So this is a basic introduction to Bhagavad Gita, right? This is going to be a basic introduction, and today we are going to learn about Gurukul and Vedic scriptures. Now I want to ask you one thing. Who here knows what is a Gurukul? Have you heard of the word Gurukul ever in your life before? Yes, then will we get any breaks? I don't think so. We'll pause like for 2 minutes for like just in case you want to make any notes or something. Okay? Yes, Ritika and Sahil. Go ahead.
Isn't a Gurukul like a school?
Yes, very nice. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Let me go back to the PPT. So basically, Gurukul is made of two words, right? Guru and Kul. Now, who is a Guru? Guru means teacher or an Acharya. Okay? And Kul means family. So, how you go to school every day, right? You go to the school in the morning, you come back by afternoon, or you come back by evening. But a Gurukul is where the students live with the Guru or they live with the teacher. It's a residential schooling, right? You've seen schools where they stay with the teacher, they stay there only and they show up to class the next morning. It's the same system, almost a similar system, right? Where the students and Guru live together. So the Acharya or the teacher feeds them, teaches them, and treats them like one whole family. Okay? The Shishya student helps the Guru in his day-to-day work and learns from his conduct as well. Okay? So the students, when they are part of a Gurukul, they help the Guru or they help the teacher in their day-to-day work. They learn not just from books, right? How we have books and we learn from those books. Apart from the books, they learn from the Guru or the teacher. What is he doing? How is he doing? How is he conducting himself? Right? This way, education was imparted to everyone during the Vedic period and Mahabharata period, well up to 18th century. Right now, we are in which century? 21st century, right? So till 18th century, this was the system. This is how schooling used to happen, right? Now, what is the significance of Gurukul, right? So Ved was the base of all the teachings, okay? So how you have a syllabus in school, you have pointers like this is what we are going to learn, you have subjects. Similarly, Ved was the base of all the teachings. It was beyond knowledge and the skills. The Guru's teaching and the students' services were the integral part of the process. So they didn't only used to learn what was in the textbook, they used to learn more than that. By being with the Guru, by being with the teacher, they used to observe and learn beyond what is in the text. And this way, Gurukuls ensure that all students were trained into all-rounded individuals. So now what was the kind of training that was given in this Gurukul, right? So one was a basic training. So if you are enrolled in a Gurukul, one was a basic training. Now what is a basic training? Students were trained in essential life skills such as cooking, cleaning, agriculture, right? So these skills are essential for survival, right? You need to eat food every day. You need to drink water every day, right? You need to clean your home every day. How much your parents will scold you if you don't clean your room for one day, right? So these are all basic life skills. This was taught to everyone, right? So basic skills like cooking, cleaning, dancing, agriculture, singing, this was all taught, right? Now, what is the next kind of training after you're done with this basic training? You were given an advanced training. Now, what is an advanced training? Now, Ridhan might be good at one thing, right? But Nivriti might be good in another thing, isn't it? Now we all have different interests, right? For example, Tejashri sings very well, but Shivya is very good at maths, right? Or let's say Pratyush is very good in some other skill. Now, what the guru used to do when he teaches these basic skills like cooking, cleaning, he observes each student that what is the student good at? What is his special skill, right? And that particular training used to be given to that particular student. Now, if you're good at something and the guru notices, oh, Sahil does this very well. So he used to be given further training in that. Like you can see here, it used to be more into what that particular student is interested in. And guru used to understand that and he used to teach them in that particular subject more, like archery, military, medicine. So whatever that particular student was good at, he used to be given further training in that, right? So it was catered to each specific student. Now, how Gurukul helped in character and competence and devotion. Before I go ahead with this, is everyone clear till now? Do you have any doubts? Okay. If you have any doubts, you can raise your hand. Okay. Everyone's clear. That's amazing. Let's go ahead. So, how Gurukul helped in character, competence, and devotion. So, what used to happen when you used to be in a Gurukul? So, what are the qualities that you used to develop if you were a Gurukul student? Used to be very simple and disciplined lifestyle, right? Every day you have a morning routine, you have an evening routine, you have a particular dedicated time, right? Even when today you go to school, every day you study all subjects for maybe this much time, like every 30 minutes you do math, right? After math, you study maybe science or English, right? So you have a disciplined lifestyle. What did that used to help with? It used to help with integrity, self-control, and responsibility, right? Self-control and responsibility. If you have a disciplined lifestyle, you'll automatically become very responsible, right? You start taking care of your own things. You start taking care of yourself because you're living away from your parents. So that discipline and responsibility was automatically built in you, okay? Because your schedule used to be like that, is developed like that by the teacher, okay? Next, reverence for Guru. What is the meaning of reverence? Reverence means respect. Now, if I'm going to somebody and I want to learn from that person, if somebody is my teacher or even from our parents, we first have to respect our parents, right? If we want to learn from them, we need to respect them first. So when we start respecting our guru, that brought in a lot of gratitude, a lot of humility. Humility means what? Staying humble, right? Staying humble and feeling thankful that you're getting such education. Okay? Next, practical and holistic curriculum. What does this mean? It means that whatever is needed in real life, right? Like whatever skills you need in real life, not just bookish knowledge. Apart from textbook knowledge, what other skills you need to survive in this world, everything was taught to you. Okay? So this fostered real world competence, right? Because when you're studying something and you have to apply it in your daily life, that balance needs to be there. Okay? So you become more sharp, you become more intelligent. Whatever I've learned, how do I use that in my daily life, right? Next is spiritual grounding. Now, what is spiritual grounding? Okay. To understand this, let's say we have to build a building, okay? Like a very tall building I have to build, right? But to build that strong building, I need to have a very strong base, correct? If my base is very weak, if my foundation is very weak, no matter how big tower I build, one day it will fall, right? or while I'm building it only, it will fall. Correct? So, when we go ahead in life, today we are students, tomorrow we'll start working, we have different phases of life, right? So, when we go ahead in life, when we fulfill our achievements, we need to have a base which is very strong, which is coming back to spirituality, right? So, this developed a lot of devotion, okay, to a higher purpose, to God, which will bring us inner peace, okay? Next is community living and seva, right? Now, what will happen if you live in a community? You're living with a lot of people, you start caring for them, right? You start making friends, right? Today, now, all of you are on this call, right? So, within this 2.5 months, we will also become friends, right? We will notice if somebody is not coming to class or if somebody said something, we'll all develop a bond, right? So, that brings in a lot of a quality of service, of cooperation, of how to deal with other people, right? And we start feeling emotions for them, right? Like we feel, okay, if somebody else is feeling bad, we also feel bad. Array, this happened to them. Next is close to nature living. So, when Gurukuls, when the world was functioning, when India had Gurukul system, these Gurukuls didn't used to be in the center of the city or in the main city. They used to be a little away. Okay, Ridan, I'll just take your doubt after finishing this one. Okay? So when we used to, like when Gurukul system was there, it didn't used to be in the main city. It used to be very outwards, towards in the forest, near the hills. So when you live close to nature, you start respecting nature, trees, the oceans, and you live in awareness, right, of the nature around you. So that is how e-Gurukul or Gurukul even built that devotion towards. Yes, Rita, you can ask your doubt. Ridan, you're on mute. You can unmute yourself.
I just wanted to tell you that the last one in Gurukul quality.
Yeah. The
Um,
last one. Yeah.
it is they didn't live in the city, they lived in nature.
Yeah. Because Gurukuls, they didn't used to be in the main city. They used to be a little bit away in the nature, in the hills or in the forests. So they used to be very close to nature because they're living in a forest or living in a hill. Is it clear now? Got it. Okay. Till here, does anyone have any doubts? Okay. Everyone's clear. If there are any further doubts, I will take it in the end. I'll give everybody a chance to, ask the questions. Okay. Now, what they used to teach. Till now, we learned that it used to be a way teacher and students used to live together. They were a family. We've learned all these things. What are the benefits? Yes, Ridan, you're saying something? Okay, fine. So, we understood the basic concept of a Gurukul. Now, what did we used to teach there? It is actually so true that Gurukul's teachings are very advanced. Like Gurukul's taught holistic development of mind, body, and soul. Right? How was it holistic? Like how we explained before. It was not only bookish knowledge that we went, we studied what was there in the book, and we came back. Firstly, you're not coming back, you're staying there with the teacher. After you're done with your bookish knowledge or whatever is there in your book, you used to be teaching a lot of life skills, also, right? Which we studied before, cooking, cleaning, whatever you're good at. So that way, you're not just studying what's in the book, you're overall developing your mind, body, and soul. Like Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an ancient medicine study, right? So it used to have a holistic development in all phases, all spheres, mind, body, and soul. Now, learning was personalized by the guru, not one size fits all. This also we learned, right? So, For example, my shoe size, right, might not fit, let's say, Nivriti. What is Nivriti's shoe size might not fit Ritika, right? We all have different shoe sizes, right? Same way, whatever we are interested in, what we are good at, might not always be the same. So the learning was very personalized. What you are good at, you used to be given further training in that. Got it? Now, advanced concepts like Vimanas. Vimanas means, okay, how many of you know about Ramayan? You must have heard a little bit here and there. Yes, so nice. So, when Lord Ram returned from Ayodhya, after return to Ayodhya, he came in Pushpak Viman, right? So when he came in Ayodhya, in Pushpak Viman, that was so long ago, right? So that shows that how advanced we were back then as well. Right now we see that the Wright brothers, right? They, developed the aeroplane, but we were so advanced back then also that we might... Yes, Pratyush, you're saying something? They have a doubt? One minute.
Why is Pushpak Viman?
Okay, I'll show you a photograph later. Shruti ma'am, I think we can send a photograph to them. Basically, when Lord Ram returned from the war to Ayodhya, right? He came in a Viman. Viman is an ancient flying machine, similar to an aeroplane. But Viman then didn't have like a control like this, how modern aeroplanes have today. They used to be run through certain mantras, through certain chantings. If you chant that certain mantra or certain wordings, certain chantings, the aeroplane used to fly. So cool, right? So when he came in a Pushpak Viman. So aeroplanes and something is not something new to us. It used to exist way before when Lord Ram was living, right? I hope that's clear, Pratyush.
Yeah.
Now, apart from that, how advanced Gurukul's teachings were? They taught practical skills, real world applications, and all of these things, not just theoretical knowledge. I've already explained that. Developing inner peace, devotion, and higher purpose was a key goal, making education more than just a career training, right? So today, when you go to school, we are constantly thinking, what should we become after growing up, right? But Gurukuls used to teach much beyond that, right? Like how to cultivate inner peace, how to be more devoted, what is our higher purpose, how to set goals, you know? So making education more than just a career training. So it used to be much, much, much beyond that. Life skills, all the important things were taught. Okay? Now, both boys and girls were treated equally, right? So the girls were taught by Guruma and boys were taught by Guru. So Gurukuls, both boys and girls used to go, but they were taught separately. Like girls used to have a separate Gurukul and boys used to have a separate Gurukul. Girls were taught by Guruma and boys were being taught by Guru. Okay, the syllabus, knowledge, everything was the same. There was no discrimination that only boys can do this or only girls can do this or any sort of saying that no, only boys or girls. Like today, how even boys and girls both are in this meeting, right? Both of you have joined, so there's no discrimination. Everyone used to be treated equally. Okay, you can see certain pictures of how women are also going to war. Hai? You can see Rani Lakshmibai. You must have heard of them. Okay. Till here, I hope you all are clear. We can see few examples from our scriptures also. So when Lord Ram and Lakshman also had two main gurus. Who are these gurus? You would have heard these names, right? Maharishi Vashishta and Maharishi Vishwamitra. Okay, now who are they? Vashishta served as the royal family priest. So Vashishta was the priest of the family and Lord Rama and Lord Lakshman, were under him. And also Vishwamitra provided them with martial and spiritual knowledge. So they used to serve them, live with them, and learn from their experiences. Okay? So it is not something that just we are saying, it is proven by our ancient scriptures. Okay? Now, do these gurukuls only used to exist back then? But there are certain gurukuls which exist even now. For example, our e-gurukul, right? So now the technology has moved so ahead that we are able to connect like this, being in different countries, right? So our gurukul still stands strong, nurturing young minds, right? Despite centuries of foreign invasions and attempts at destruction. So what happened? When Gurukul system was going so well, what happened? So we had so much colonization, invasions happen. You would have heard a lot of stories. We'll learn more about it later in our coming sessions. But basically, there was so much invasions and war that this Gurukul system was not implemented anymore after the 18th century. But there are still few Gurukuls which exist, like our e-Gurukul, and you would have heard the name Nalanda University. It was a very famous university in India, and people used to come all over the globe. It's not only that people from India used to join and study there. No, people from all over the world wanted to come here and enroll. But due to invasions, that university was not existing anymore. But we still have few Gurukuls which are following the same essence of Gurukul, where apart from bookish knowledge, we are taught life skills, right? And we continue to serve with full dedication and honesty. Till here, is everybody clear? Okay. Now, moving to the next part of our session, which is Vedic scriptures. Has anyone heard the word Vedic scriptures about the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharat? All of you have heard. That's great. Even if you have not heard, that's okay. We are here for you. Okay? So what is a Vedic scripture? A Vedic scripture is basically how you go to school and you have certain books, right? In those books are given certain instructions. This is what you have to do. This is not what you have to do. Certainly, these are instruction manuals which guide us. And from whom are these coming from? These are coming from Bhagwan through Guru Parampara. What is this? We will teach you later, a little bit later. So, these gurus or these scriptures first came from Lord Vishnu. He gave this knowledge to Lord Brahma, right? So, Lord Vishnu gave these scriptures knowledge, this eternal knowledge, to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma gave this knowledge to Narad Muni. Now, through Narad Muni, he passed it down like that. So, that is Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara means one person passing down that knowledge to another person. Now, how did these people pass this knowledge? Did they used to make notes like us? Do they have Zoom meetings like us? No, right? This knowledge was given verbally, right? This knowledge was given verbally. Now, if I give this knowledge to you, they used to remember it so well. And these scriptures are not small textbooks or small books. They are very long, right? In fact, if you see those books, now you're like, how are they remembering so much, right? But that used to be very long time ago. They used to remember so much knowledge. One guru used to pass it down to his student passed it down to his student. That is called the Guru Parampara, right? Now, Ved Vyasji compiled it into 5,000 years ago. He compiled this for age Kali Yuga. Now, why did he have to compile this knowledge? Because, just because how I mentioned, they used to pass it down verbally. They didn't sit like us, making notes, giving meeting recordings. We didn't have that so many years ago. And people's memories when Vedic scriptures were being passed down many yuga ago. So right now we are in Kali Yuga, right? Many yugas ago, people's memories, our human mind used to be much stronger than what we have right now. They would remember so well. Our memory used to be more sharp than what it is right now, right? So they had that capability to remember and pass it down. But since Ved Vyasji knew that in Kali Yuga, human mind will not be able to absorb so much knowledge. They will not be able to remember. If today I ask you, what did your parents say to you when you woke up in the morning? What was the first thing they said? Do you remember? Don't remember. If I ask you, what did you eat 1 week ago for dinner? Exactly 1 week ago. Do you remember? Don't. Right? So our human mind is not as strong as it used to be when this knowledge was passed down. So Vedyasji understood that and he compiled it all together 5,000 years ago for Kali Yuga, because he knew if we just pass it down like this, they will not remember. And one day this knowledge will again go to wane, and we want to keep this knowledge alive, right? So that is how our scriptures came into existence. Now, why are these scriptures so essential? So, Ridhan, you asked about Pushpak Viman, right? Can you see a photo here? This one, if you can see my cursor. You can see here how advanced this used to be. You can see how Ayurveda and Gautam Buddha prediction, all these things, they used to be so exceptional. Now, what are the different types of Vedic scriptures? So, scriptures were divided into Upanishads, into Purans. What are they? We will learn in our coming sessions. But for now, you can just remember this much. That we used to have different kinds of scriptures about Vedas, about Puranas, Upanishads, so many stories, so many details, a lot of conversations, a lot of knowledge, lots and lots of stories. And of course, Ramayana and Mahabharata, right? Now, I want to ask all of you, okay? Whoever knows, whoever doesn't know, it's okay. What do you all know about Mahabharata? Nobody will read the PPT and tell what's in the PPT. Apart from the PPT, what do you all know about Mahabharata? No one knows? Yes, Ritika and Sahil.
The Mahabharata was a war between the Kaurav and Pandav, where the Kaurav didn't want to give their land to the Pandav and thus exiled the Pandavs away. And then the Pandavs gained more power through their travels, and many people believed they were the righteous. So then later on, at Kurukshetra, the battle began, and the Pandavas were victorious.
Great. That's amazing. Anyone else knows anything else? Even if you're wrong, that's okay. Whatever you know. Shreya, are you saying something? Why is everyone so quiet? Are you all shy? Everyone shy. Yes, Adu, is this how I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah.
If I'm go ahead.
So is it where Lord Krishna gives Arjuna advice?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
Arjuna didn't want to fight because his guru and his fellow people were he was fighting against them. But then Krishna told him that it's that for you shouldn't fight just for the sake of it. You should fight if it's for a good purpose.
Beautiful. That's amazing. All of you know so well at such young age. That's beautiful to see. Anyone else? Okay. Fine. Let me share my screen and give you all a small story time. Just 2 minutes. I'll take a quick story time. Yes, Shreya, go ahead. You can unmute.
During
Shreya?
during the battle, there was one of the people was called Arjun, and he was going to have to fight against his family and friends, so he didn't want to. But then a god came and told him that he should fight even though it was against his family and friends. And then that's when a god gave him the Bhagavad Gita.
Superb. You all know so well. It's amazing. Should all give a clap for yourselves. Okay, so I'll give you a small 2-minute story time, summarizing everything what all of you told. So basically, Mahabharata was fought between Pandavas and Kauravas. Now, who are Pandavas? Pandavas are son of Kunti and her husband Pandu. Okay, there are 5 brothers. 5 brothers. Now, who are these 5 brothers? The eldest brother, his name was Yudhishthir. Okay, and the next was Bhim. This is the order of seniority. Who is the eldest to the youngest? Okay, so Yudhishthir, Bhim. The third was Arjun, to whom the Bhagavad Gita was spoken to. Then Nakul and Sahadev. Okay, they had one wife. Her name was Draupadi. Yes, Shivya, do you want to add something?
The Pandavas were the sons of Madri, Kunti, and Pandu.
Yes, Madri also, because Nakul and Sahadev, they were sons of Madri. Yes, Ridan, go ahead.
I've watched the full movie of it.
Amazing. So do you have anything else that you want to add? You watched the full movie, right? Do you know anything else that you want to add?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Ritika and Sahil, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure Kunti got a boon that she can have a child with any
Yes.
one of the gods, like Surya, for example. And that's how
Yes,
Karan was born. Karan.
correct. Yes. So Pandavas were 5 brothers. They had a wife, Draupadi. They all had one wife. And Kauravas, right? So there were 100 brothers. And they were sons of whom? Of King Dhritarashtra and his wife Gandhari. Okay? So there were 100 brothers. Okay? So what happened is this was a battle between Dharma and Adharma. Right? Yes, Shivya.
Actually, the Kauravas had like 99 sons and one girl.
Yeah, they also had a sister. I think she was the 101 child or 100. I have to cross check. Shruti Mataji, can you cross check that? The number configuration. Okay. Till the time I'll just go ahead with the story. Right? So basically what happened was they disrespected Draupadi a lot and they were exiled because of that. The Kauravas disrespected Draupadi and they exiled the Pandavas into the forest. And they said, when you come back, we will give you the kingdom. But even after they came back in that many years in the forest, they learned a lot of things. But still, after they finished their exile in the forest, when they came back and they asked the Kauravas, hey, you said you will give us our kingdom back. We are here. But they said, no, we will not give the kingdom to you. We will not give you the throne. They tried a lot of negotiations. And after that, when they couldn't reach a conclusion, they decided to have a battle, which is the epic Mahabharata battle. Right? Whoever will win, they will sit on the throne. And ultimately, Yudhishthir sat on the throne and the Pandavas won because Dharma was on the side of the Pandavas. Dharma means righteousness. All of you said standing for a higher purpose, standing for what is right. So they disrespected Draupadi a lot, right? Yes, Riddhan.
Krishna also helped.
Sorry?
Krishna
I can't hear.
also helped.
Okay, Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas. Krishna was their relative. Is that your question? Okay, yeah. Krishna was their relative and he was on the side of the Pandavas. In the Kauravas side, as Sahil said, we had more people apart from the brothers. We had Karn, right? Story of Karn is a complete different story. I'll tell you all some other day. You can remind me. Okay? And we had Pitama Bhishma. You would have heard his name, right? Bhishma Pitama, right? Their grandfather. And we had Dronacharya, their teacher, right? Their own teacher who taught both Kauravas and Pandavas. They were on the side of the Kauravas. Okay, there were many people, Ashwathama and, Shakuni Mama. You would have heard about Uncle Shakuni, right? I will tell you about them a lot more later. Now I'll carry on with the class. So basically, our scriptures include Mahabharata, and it was a fight for establishing Dharma. Okay? Next is, following with that, the Bhagavad Gita. So when this battle was decided, like all of you said, that we are going to fight, we are not reaching a halfway point. Now, whoever will win will get the throne of the kingdom, right? So if the Pandavas win, Yudhishthir, their eldest brother, will sit on the throne. If Kauravas win, Duryodhan, right? You would have heard this name, Duryodhan. He is the eldest brother of the Kauravas. He will get the throne because he is the eldest. Okay? So now right before the battle, Krishna was on Pandav's side as usual, right? Because Krishna is depiction of dharma, of righteousness, and Pandavas were standing for something right. So he was obviously on their side and he was Arjun's charioteer. You can see Arjun sitting on the charioteer, the one who was riding the horse. Krishna was riding Arjun's horse. And Krishna and Arjun were very close friends, right? So right before the war, just before the war began, okay, yeah. So there's a small story of why Krishna was on the Pandav side also, but I'll take it in the end or maybe in the next class. Tomorrow I'll take it, okay? So just before the battle, Arjun got very scared because who is in front of him? His grandfather Bhishma Pitama is in front of him, right? Who has been with their side his whole life. He's lived under their shelter, right? Guru Dronacharya, who has given him the knowledge. He was standing against his own teacher. He was supposed to kill his own grandfather, his own brothers, his 100 brothers, right? He was supposed to kill his own teacher. He was supposed to kill people whom he grew up with. So he got very scared. How can I kill somebody whom I've been touching their feet? I've been taking their blessings. They've taught me so much. Guru Dronacharya has taught me how to pick up the armor. He's taught me whatever I know. How can I kill him? Correct? So when Arjun started panicking, he said, I cannot kill them. Right? How can I kill them? I'm very scared. This is not right. I will not kill people whom I've grown up with. My elders, how can I kill them? And I will not fight. He put down his archer and bow down. So that's when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. That he's standing on the path of righteousness. Right? It is his duty. Right? Now if you're a warrior, your duty is to fight. You are a husband. Your duty is to protect your wife, right? It is your duty and you have to fulfill your duty because you're standing for a higher purpose. Are you all following the story? So that is when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. Now, Bhagavad Gita is total has 700 verses in total and 574 verses or shlokas, you can call them, right? From 700, 574 were spoken by Lord Krishna. And when Krishna was narrating, was giving this advice or was speaking this eternal truth, then Arjun also had a lot of questions. How is this possible? What do you mean by this? So Arjun spoke 84 verses. Okay? Now there are two other people who are part of Bhagavad Gita, who are involved in this. Does anybody know? Apart from Arjun and Shri Krishna. Do you want to take a guess? Yes, Shreya, go ahead. You can unmute, Shreya.
I think it's Dhritarashtra and Sanjay.
Correct. That's amazing. Yes. So, Dhritarashtra was their father, right? So, Dhritarashtra, he couldn't see. He was born blind. Now, there's a separate story on why he was born blind also. We'll take it up some other time. Okay? So, he was born blind and this war was happening in Kurukshetra, right? Not in Hastinapur. Hastinapur is the kingdom they are fighting for. So, when this was happening in Kurukshetra, and since he is blind, he wanted to know what's happening. He wanted time to time updates. What's happening? Who's winning? Who's losing? What is our strategy? Right? Because when you're fighting, you go with planning. Right? This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to fight. Right? He wanted updates. So he had Sanjay. Sanjay, he had a blessing or a boon that he can see far off things. So even though he was beside Dhritarashtra, he could see the fight happening in Kurukshetra. Right? So the first verse in Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Dhritarashtra. He only spoke one sentence. And 41 verses were spoken by Sanjay, who was giving Dhritarashtra the updates. Okay, this is happening. Now this is what was said. The whole Bhagavad Gita, the gist, both Dhritarashtra and Sanjay were part. Okay? So, with that, we come to a conclusion of our first session. Now we can open the floor for any questions. Yes, Adi, you had doubt?
I didn't really have a doubt, but I was just gonna ask was Lord Hanuman involved as well? Because he was like a flag for Arjun's chariot.
Okay, so the chariot is depicting Lord Hanuman, but Hanuman was part of Ramayana. He flew to rescue Mata Sita and he was trying to help Lord Ram. So they had the flag of Lord Hanuman on their chariot. Arjun's chariot had a flag of Lord Hanuman depicting power, depicting dharma again, because he was a devotee, a very sincere devotee of Lord Ram. That is why, since they had Lord Hanuman's flag, it was called a victory flag, because he was such a sincere devotee. Okay? Yes, Shreya, go ahead.
How old is the Bhagavad Gita?
Very good question. So, Bhagavad Gita, there is no time that it is 100 years old or 200. There's no time. Bhagavad Gita is eternal, right? It is an eternal knowledge. So this Bhagavad Gita, when it was spoke to Arjuna many years ago, it was also spoken to the sun god. Krishna gave the same knowledge to sun god as well. So this depicts that there is no age or a particular time that this is how old it is, this is the time. But as I mentioned in the PPT, that 5,000 years ago, it was compiled by Ved Vyasji. Okay, because as I said, now we cannot remember. So he compiled that knowledge and gave us 5,000 years ago. But Bhagavad Gita in itself is an eternal knowledge. Okay. Any other doubts? There are few people who still didn't switch on the camera. How will I know if you're listening or not if you don't switch on your camera? Ihu, Jeswita, Marathi. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correct. Okay. Is everyone clear with today's class? Am I going too fast? Are you all able to understand clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you all have any questions from today's class? Did you find it boring? Did you get bored? When will she stop talking? When will I go have lunch? No, right? So I hope to see you all in tomorrow's class also. Every week, every Saturday, Sunday, there's 1 hour. Okay? Anything else? Yes, Adi, go ahead.
I can't come tomorrow because I'm performing in like a I'm performing like a shloka, so I can't come tomorrow.
Okay, no problem. You can refer the recording before next Saturday.
Yeah.
So that you don't miss out on what was taught. Okay? Okay. If everyone is okay, then we can close the session. But from next class, today you all were very interactive. I really like talking to all of you. You all know so much. It's very amazing to see. Can we all clap for ourselves that we all are in this journey now? Okay? So I hope we can talk more to each other. Yes?
Namaste.
Namaste. Okay.
Namaste.
So can we close? Yes? Okay. Fine. So I hope we can meet tomorrow and we talk lot more than what we did today. Yes. You're saying something? Okay. Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.